Good morning. Be good if I had my microphone. Good morning, everyone. Um, it's always good to start off with your wife upstairs vacuuming the floor, so you can't hear, and then you forget your microphone. The good thing is I'm on time, and the other thing is quite frankly, no one's watching, so don't have to worry about it too much. I'm enjoying the live streams. I'm okay with it now. One of the things I wanted to do today is just kind of go over my setup because we never talk about it. So I have a home office. I don't think it makes any sense for a real estate agent to have a big office. I mean, I'm a real estate broker. My model isn't to have like 50 agents. I don't really care to have 50 agents. The only time I would ever have any agents around would be to assist me in showing homes and things of this nature. So, I just can't believe that we have to have the vacuum going tonight. That's just unbelievable to me, especially when she's going to work. But, so anyway, let's go over the office, the setup. Behind me, when I do a video for YouTube, I'll normally try and crop out everything. Remember, everything's like backwards, so I'll normally try to crop out my printer, which is right there. But today, you can see it. So what difference does it make? When I first started Deerwood Realty in 2015, I had come from other real estate brokerages, mostly on the property management side, and they had offices. And because I was on the property management side, I was an hourly. So I got paid just to be there. And what I've found there in both places that I worked was I'm sitting there the whole day. No one, no other agent sitting there. They're out doing deals. And it makes no sense to have an office. So when I got my own brokerage, the idea of me having an office just went right out the window. Now, it has caused quite a few challenges. For one, during the coronavirus pandemic, my stepson moved back to St. Louis, brought all of his stuff with him from college, and the ability for me, my home office is in my basement. He was living in a different room in the basement, so the ability for me to stream or to make videos was significantly diminished. Now that he's back, now that he's been back for a while, it's fine. He goes to work in the morning and I can stream. So I have no issues there. The MREC allows you to have a home office, the Missouri Real Estate Commission. So, I'm fine there. I have to have a sign outside that says when my hours are, but my hours are by appointment. So it's no big deal. I do have clients over, but I have them over in the living room when they first walk in, and it's people I know most of the time or friends of friends, and and if somebody that I'm comfortable with, so that's not an issue. If I have to meet clients, before Corona, we went, you go to Starbucks, Bread Company, Panera. I guess the rest of the country says Panera, and sit there and you discuss stuff and you move on. I prefer to see. My hearing isn't great. It never has been. On the phone, I'm terrible as far as I just can't hear. So I prefer to meet people face to face. I don't mind meeting in a virtual environment, but if you think I'm going to sit through a Zoom meeting for something, it's not going to happen. I prefer to meet people face to face, and the Corona situation really did give me problems with that because, you can't go to a restaurant. You got to wear a mask. I can't read people's face expression, their expressions. I don't know I'm highly sarcastic and it's for fun. And you can't tell if people are laughing or if they're mad at you, if they think you're serious. So, yeah. Home office. During the coronavirus, I thought, hey, it's still going on. More people have died this year than they did last. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to minimize it, but When when it hit, I was thankful to not have an office because, you know, you have to go through all these sanitizing rituals and whatnot. And, you know, no one wants to come into your office then anyway. In the future, if I got bigger, would I get an office? I don't know. If I got an office, it might be for other people. And I know one guy that I worked for that had an office for the people, and then he never came to the office because he hated it. He'd rather work on the floor in his house than go to the office. So, I mean, this is what I'm working with. This is my experience. Can you conduct agent training online? Yeah. What can't you do anymore where, you know, and then as far as your agents, wouldn't they be happier to be at home and not have to come in the office? I would think so. I am. I mean, is it a distraction? During the days of the lockdowns, it was bad because I had like 7 people in the house all the time, and it's just hard to get anything done. But you know, now everybody's going back to school, everybody's going back to work, and so I don't have any real issues during the day, and it worked out like I thought it would. Plus, I mean, I was trying to understand. I mean, I was trying to, like, I like to work, okay, but I don't like to work for other people. And let me explain it this way: if I get an office, let's just say the rent is $2,000 a month, okay, and let's say my average commission is $5,000, okay. So I have to be selling like 4 or 5, what if it's 2, 5, 10 houses? I don't know, 24,000. So I have to sell like 6 houses just to clear the rent on my building. This doesn't include internet, water, sewer, electric, outfitting the office. Okay. Why am I doing that? You say, well, John, somebody that sees your business on the web, they see that you're just running in a house and therefore you're not legitimate. I have my real estate broker's license. I've been doing this for 10 years. Actually more, probably 15 now. I have 2 master's degrees. I'm running my own brokerage. I think I know how to do this. If you don't want to use me because you would prefer to go to a strip mall where there's a, you know, Keller Williams office that you've driven by every day for 50 years, that's on you. I mean, that's where I'm at. Am I wrong? I don't know. I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, and I still just cannot justify having an office. And even if I did, you know, even if my volume was huge, why would I give that money to someone else? It doesn't make any sense. In this day and age, no. If I ran a manufacturing facility, it doesn't make any sense to work from home. Okay. But this is where I'm at. And you say, oh, John, you could have depreciation. You can save money on your taxes and all that stuff. Well, taxes are predicated on income. The more you make, the more you pay. I have no interest in paying more taxes. So the office, you know, will I change? Now, I did build a relatively simple set. But my set for the live streams and my videos it's at my desk. My desk is literally, like, you can't see it, but I'm going to point. It's right here. That's right. I can work at my desk. My hands are sitting on my desk right now. You just can't see them. And, you know, will I change up the background every once in a while? Sure. But I like the background right now, and I'm not changing it. I wanted to show you on this side. No, let's do it this way. This right here. That was a super that I got. I bought it new. It cost me $100, and maybe 130. I'm sorry. And someone stole it out of my car along with my sunglasses and destroyed it. It was a kid at the middle school. I live next to a middle school. Kid at the middle school. They destroyed it, and you know, I got it back. But it's amazing because they never got into the. They were just, you know, they broke it all apart. They were just trying to get in, but the best they got was to get the handle off. So I don't know. Supers are pretty good. I can talk about that too. So if you list your house, okay, you tell me. Let's say I come to your house and I say, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, I'm going to put a super on the front door. The super can only be used by real estate agents or contractors or people that have it. And it provides an identity, because whenever you open it, I get an email that says who it was that opened it. I think it's very secure, and that's why I want to use it for your house. Contrast that with some Yahoo agent that wants to put a combo lockbox on your house. Now we don't know who's going in. We don't know how many people are coming in for showings. We don't know anything at all. And that's just dumb. It's 2021. I mean, why are we doing, like, why would you do that? That just shows to me you really don't care about the listing. That's all it does. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that affect my daily life. So, number one, do you play the lottery? I play the Powerball. I play Powerball because my grandfather played Powerball. Every Friday or like every Wednesday and every Saturday, he would buy a ticket and he would lose. And I will lose the rest of my life as well. But I still play. And it's just one of those things. It's weird, the things that like tie you with your family, and him buying lottery tickets. Now, he didn't buy like 50, he bought one. And I just buy one. And I don't know. When I buy a lottery ticket, like, I do the math in my head and I say, wow, that would be life-changing. And you can say, well, all the money you use on lottery tickets, you could invest that in the stock market and you would make all this money, someday. 44 years old. Okay. Compounding interest is great, but when you don't have any money, I mean, when you're putting $6, $30 a month in, you're not getting anywhere by the time you're 80. And by the time I'm 80, I don't know that I'm going to care so much, which is another thing I learned from my grandpa. So they've made it very hard to buy a lottery ticket. They have these machines. The machines don't give change. Okay. A lottery ticket is $2 here in St. Louis. And it's Powerball, so it's like in 30 states or something. So you put the money, the only thing that I'll do is I like to play the same numbers, and the numbers that I play are sentimental to me. So like 18 is the number of Tony Twist, who used to play for the Blues. I thought when I was a kid, he was just the most amazing player ever. Not good at scoring goals, if you know who Tony Twist was. And understand, like, I'm in a whole different life right now. My mindset is totally different. But anyway, it's just a reminder of the past, and I think it's kind of fun. So anyway, it used to be I could go in, I could put in $10 in the machine, I could get my 5 lottery tickets, the same numbers for the next, five runs. Then they added then the week before that, I put in my money, and then they wouldn't give me my money back. And they wouldn't let me they being the machine, wouldn't let me get my change, because they wouldn't let me do it forward. And I was going on vacation, and so that really irritated me. So then I came back, I tried it again, still couldn't. They added a number, okay, which is why they wouldn't let you buy tickets forward, which made sense. But then afterwards, I thought, well, I want to buy tickets now for the next 5 drawings, and I couldn't do it again. So every time I do this, I'm wasting money, because I want to play one time, and I want the same numbers every week, every drawing. So then they changed the ticket. Now, I like to play $10, five in a row. But they changed the ticket so that you can't do $10. You can only do 9, which isn't helpful, or like 12, which I don't have $12. I'll have a 10, I'll have a 20, but I don't have a lot of ones. So now I have to go every Now, oh, and they added a day for the lottery. So now instead of $2, instead of $4 a week, I'm at $6 a week, which gets a little bit dicey. So now I have to go to the store. And by the way, you're the internet. You solve all my problems for me. Okay? Every single one of them. I'm serious. I have no doubt that the power of the internet is much, much more intelligent than I am. So I accept it and I move on. Please fix every problem I have. So now I'm stuck every 2 days going to, if I have exact change, which is $2, and I don't carry a lot of cash, then I can play my numbers at the machine. If I have like a 5, then I have to go to the machine, write out my play slip, then take it to the desk at the Deerbergs, which they hate. And then they give me the money, and then I have another couple days where I have $2 because I literally only use cash for the lottery machine. And right now I can't buy tickets ahead of time, so I'm going there every 3 days. It's maddening. My YouTube live stream can reach any part of the earth that has the internet and YouTube. Okay? And yet I'm sitting here every 2 days driving up to the grocery store. By the way, my favorite grocery store, let's get this all out. Let's get it all out. I used to like to go to this place. I used to call it Ghetto Schnucks, okay? It was Ghetto Schnucks because it was on the other side it was in the city. I live in the county, okay? And it's a joke. I live in the county, and it's, the line is very close to where I live from the city to the county. And in St. Louis, if you don't know, St. Louis City it's its own thing, okay? It's not part of the county. Okay, it's like 16 miles wide at its biggest point, or maybe 6. I don't remember off the top of my head. But it's this little tiny thing, and then St. Louis County surrounds it. And then St. Louis County is where I live. But anyway, so the Schnucks is actually not in the city. It's in Shrewsbury, which is one of the 99 municipalities in the county. So we have all these little municipalities. They're like, I call them fiefdoms. And some of them are famous for speeding tickets. The national news missed this during the Michael Brown thing. They couldn't understand how this happened in Ferguson, which is different than St. Louis County, which is different than Florissant, which is different than Berkeley, which is next to Ferguson, and then Delmar. It's not Delmar. Starts with a D though, and it's on the other side of Ferguson. So, when you have that's another thing I learned. Anyway, let's get back on point. So anyway, I used to love to go to my Schnucks. It used to be a Shop and Save before that, but it went out of business with Shop and Save because Shop and Save left St. Louis. So Schnucks took over the stores, and they said, well, we'll keep all the stores open, and except for one. And everyone said, oh, that's great. Everything's wonderful. Well, within 6 months, they closed 3 stores, and one of them was the Ghetto Schnucks. And the Ghetto Schnucks was so nice because it was Schnucks, which is a nice store. And they had all this stuff, but there was no one there. So you could literally walk in and there's no one there. And the people that were there was a security guard and the people that worked there. It was a wonderful shopping experience. Anyway, that closed, so I have to go to Deerbergs. Deerbergs is for me at least, $2 more expensive for every single thing you buy there. I'm not criticizing Deerbergs. I'm just saying it's just always been more expensive. There's never a deal at Deerbergs. And I don't know. I don't like it there. So whenever I have to go there for my lottery ticket, it's kind of eh. So let's have some fun with the Schnucks in Afton. The history of the Schnucks in Afton. So there is a Schnucks. There is a Schnucks. The Schnucks of Afton is on Gravois. Okay. I'm 44 years old. Now, I tell you that a lot because it's relevant to the stories. Schnucks on Gravois, when I was growing up, was the only place you could go to Schnucks, close to us. Or you could go to the one in Hampton. Oh, Gravois and Jameson, I guess. Yeah. That's right. Okay. Anyway, no one would go to that one if you're from the county. So there was another grocery store chain called National. I think National was part of Kroger because we had Kroger too. Okay. I think it was Kroger. Then Kroger decided to brand it as National in St. Louis. But anyway, this is when I was like 5. But I distinctly remember National is where we would go to shop, and they had a line of products called President's Choice that my father loved. White label brand. But anyway, so we're going there, and it's on Mackenzie, and everything was fine. Well, National closed, and then Schnucks bought the plaza that National was in. And they did it, everyone in Afton said they did it because they didn't want any more competition. And so to pacify the citizens of citizens of Afton, they split the building in half and put in like a Schnucks Express, which I went to in high school. I can remember we'd go there before basketball games and we'd get candy and we'd go to the basketball games. But most of the community was so mad at Schnucks for that, they wouldn't go to the Schnucks Express. Plus, it didn't make any sense because there was Schnucks literally like less than 3 minutes away. But like, and this might be depressing, but if you were in your 80s then and angry, that was 25 years ago, 30 years ago, so you're dead. Sad thought. So all those people mad at Schnucks died out. So this branding of Schnucks in Afton now ditching us again, the people don't really know that we got ditched in one time before. And, the management of Schnucks now is not the same management as Schnucks back in the day. But anyway, that's my Schnucks story. 21 minutes in, we've got a Schnucks story. We've got so we'll just do a lot of grocery talk today. So we have, so one of the things I was wanting to mention with technology is with my grandpa, and this is with the metaverse discussion we had yesterday. My grandpa would refuse to use an ATM machine, and he refused to use automated checkout at the grocery store. Why? His reasoning was every time I use a machine, I put somebody else out of work. I said he was silly. He should look to the future. Everything's going to be better in the future. You should be happy you can go to the ATM. You should be happy you can check out quickly at the grocery store. Well, then Walmart in Shrewsbury, like a year ago, decided to make every single checkout lane automated. There was a point in which my grandpa was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just not. Whatever goes forward in history, I'm not interested. And I don't know if I've reached that point just yet. I mean, in my opinion, obviously I've not, because I've got this studio that I've built for streaming on YouTube, which is not new. I mean, YouTube's been around for a while now, but I'm still taking chances. But with the metaverse, I am just so not interested. I'm so not interested. The idea that you can build another world in another place is great, okay? For those people that hate the world they live in. That's the only way I see it. Like, will I be able to go to Europe in the metaverse? Do I want to? Why don't I just go to Europe myself? And I watched my youngest play, Minecraft. They run around, oh, it's so great, we're building houses and all this stuff. She was like, when she was really into it, she was like 8 years old. And now we're going to be in the metaverse when we're in our 50s or 60s. It's just not my thing. I don't think I'm going to play. I don't think I want to be a part of it. Will it eliminate jobs? Well, no. I really do think that the metaverse to start is a fantastic place for millionaires and billionaires to buy up everything, so that when you go there, you can't enjoy it, or you have to work just to be there. For people like myself, so I'm not exactly looking forward to that. I just want to go over my list to see if I. Oh, let's get into the hard real estate. It's 25 minutes in. Let's let's start talking about the hard real estate. So regardless of what you've heard about, by the way, that's the other thing, is the real estate market is only relevant to those in it. If you read about it and you're not in it, what difference does it make? But I am in the market. I have quite a few buyers right now. And then one of the more interesting phenomenons that I've seen is, like, I do auto emails to everybody. So whenever something comes in the market, they get an automatic email, and it's set for their parameters and their price ranges. And then I look at the copy of it just to see what's, in case they call and say, hey, I want to look at this house. I want to be able to know what, know what they're doing, or know what house they want to look at. And sometimes if I see a house that I think is interesting and maybe they didn't see it, I'll send them an email or a text that says, hey, what do you think about this house? So anyway, here's what's happening in the market. Number one, so I have two buyers right now in this position. I have other buyers, but anyway, I have two buyers in this position. So what happens is the list goes out. They both get the same list, essentially. And then what does that mean to the market? Well, I have two people that are sitting there waiting to pounce on a house, and they're just sitting there waiting. Like they're the two people that are waiting for it. Okay. But I'm sure they're not the only ones. So there's probably like 1,000 people that are sitting there waiting for this one house to come on the market so they can go make an offer. That's how limited the listings are. Let me go a step further. I have some people looking for something very specific between $400,000 and $500,000 in Jefferson County. Okay. Now, let's not kid ourselves and say like between $400,000 and $500,000. It's not getting you much. If the average home in the United States is $400,000, I think it's 407. You're just a little bit above average. Okay. And they have other parameters. They want, 3-car garage. They want some other things. But literally, like a year ago, 2 years ago, I could set that search up, and every week there'd be 4 or 5 listings. Now, nothing. I mean, nothing. So maybe 2 weeks go by and not one house shows up. And then the third week a house does show up and it's terrible. It's not going to be the house they want. Now, it's not the price that's the problem. It's the house that's the problem. It's not the right design. It's not the right finishes. It's just not going to work. So they're waiting for 3 weeks to see one house that isn't going to work. So I don't think they're the only buyers. So when people talk about an inventory shortage, this is my definition of an inventory shortage. They have the money to buy the home. Okay. The home exists. Okay. But you can't buy it because it doesn't come to market. That to me is an inventory shortage. Okay. Let's go over this. There's a difference between an inventory shortage. Now this is me. This is off the top of my head. And it's just to explain something. It's just to explain a concept. You have an inventory shortage, and then you have a price bubble, let's say. So when something does come to the market, it's so overpriced, like so in the lower price, so let's say $300,000 and below in South County, something comes to the market, it's so badly overpriced that it's in its own way, it's an inventory shortage. No one should be in their right mind buying the particular home for this price. It's just dumb. Now, people buy it because they're desperate. People buy it because they're maybe dumb. But there's a reason why they're buying it. But it's way overpriced, and it's ridiculous. That isn't inventory shortage as much as it's price inflation. So to me, there's a combination of issues in the marketplace. It's not just the lack of inventory, as what you're saying, what people want you to do. And I've got some background in economics, They want to say that it's a supply and demand issue. It's only that. And I've always kind of rejected that out of hand, because it's so much, there's so many more factors that meet in the supply and demand. To me, who's pulling the strings? So what do we say going forward? Well, my buyers are stuck. They're locked. They're locked up. They're disappointed. They're discouraged, and I have a hard, like we were talking about emotional intelligence yesterday. I have a hard time understanding what the problem is with them, because, like myself, every day I look at houses. Every day I try to help buyers buy houses. I try to help sellers sell houses. It's all I do. And when you have this situation where buyers are discouraged, okay, it's hard for me to relate, because my job entails writing offers that sometimes get rejected, helping buyers through that rejection, but we don't stop looking. That's the difference. Now people get discouraged and they're like, I don't want to play. Like one lady I was working with looked at like 4 houses and then quit. You got to look at like 30 before you even have a chance to buy a house. Or unless you want to just overpay, which, relative, like in this market, if you buy a house, you're overpaying by definition. But, what are you going to do about it? Look for the best values, the way I approach every market. But it's a very strange thing. Let me just try to explain this to you. When you're a listing agent, okay, you live for this time because you're able to sell a home for the most part without any sell it as is. Buyers agents aren't going to be asking for any sort of concessions, and if they do, you tell them to go away. When the market turns, buyers will ask for the kitchen sink, and sellers may give it to them. But that's not the psychology that we're in right now. That's not the psychology of the market. But it's just kind of interesting how we used to do deals and how we would do deals now are just so different. With that, I wanted to go over some of the articles. Well, let me put an ending on that. Look, if you're going to go out and buy a house right now, prepare for some disappointment, but just get after it. Think about your situation. Are you going to try and live in this house for 5 years or more? If you are, you should be okay. Okay. Will the market fluctuate in the meantime? Absolutely. Things are going to go really badly at some point in time. But as long as you have a roof over your head, don't confuse, at least in 2007, what I saw was people said, well, my house payment is more than the house is worth, so I should just ditch this house and buy another one. Well, if you do that, fine. But when you leave that other one up for foreclosure, you're hurting the housing market. Now, should you care? That's what I kind of wanted to get back to with my grandfather and these, and the not using the automated ATM machines, or using the grocery line that didn't have a teller or a cashier. He was doing it out of a sense of civic duty. Okay. He believed that people should have jobs he believed that people should be able to have enough money from their job that they can, have some leisure time and enjoy their lives. And he didn't believe that people should have to work 60 and 80 hours to starve. Okay. And so you might say, well, that person that loses their job at the grocery store can go do something else. If there's anything in life that I've found that is more disgusting than that concept, I don't know what it is. Let's just leave it at that. Now, we'll talk about it some other time. What I wanted to say is, civic mindedness 40 years ago is different than the civic mindedness of today. And it's changed to the point where we virtue signal civic. We're always doing this virtue signaling. We're always helping everyone else out by virtue signaling versus just taking a stand and not even telling anybody about it, just going about your business like my grandpa did. Now, who knows if he was right or wrong? I don't particularly care. I still use an ATM and I still use the automated grocery lines. But the point was a solid one. And now you get this situation where, technology just keeps moving forward. What is your level of civic mindedness as it relates to the housing market? And here's how I wanted to look at that. We're going to have an article today, maybe I get to it, about iBuying. Okay. So iBuying is I liken it exactly to the car world. So there's Carvana. Okay. If you're going to buy a new car, you sell your car with Carvana, it's less than 10 years old, and they pay more than anybody else. Okay. And they also don't give you any trouble. Now, how can they do that? I don't know. But then they sell your car for more than most people. So it's a nationwide network. They deliver the car. If they buy a car in Florida and you want it in St. Louis, they'll fly, they'll bring it here. So that's $1,000 maybe. It's phenomenal. Okay. But what does it do? It gets rid of other car dealers, in states. Some guy in Georgia isn't competing with Carvana. Okay. Who's only in Georgia. And there's all kinds of money behind Carvana. So they just like a bull in a china shop. Same thing with housing. There's all kinds of billions and trillions of dollars behind these iBuyers. Like Open Door. You want to sell your house tomorrow? Call Open Door. They'll buy your house. They don't have to pay their agents commissions because they're buying it personally. And then when they turn it around, when they turn the house around, they expect to get a little more out of it, but their margins are so small. They don't really, they're just trying to do it on volume. Is the civic-minded thing to do so you own a residence, you're a seller. Is the civic-minded thing to do to sell your house to Open Door because you're going to get the most money and you're going to be getting it done quick? Or is it to sell the house using a traditional broker, paying money to sell it, and then, using a broker to buy a house and hope that they can still survive? I don't know. As long as I've been in the business, people have gunned for real estate agents, and there's more real estate agents now than ever, but I can't quantify that. There's more sales going on right now than ever, but I don't know that real estate agents are, really, really reaping the benefits of it. Some are, some aren't. I've likened my job to that of a travel agent. When I was a kid, most travel agents, there were a lot of them, and you could go and they knew something about places that you didn't. So if you wanted to go there, they could show you. And then as the internet came about, we had Expedia and Orbitz and Hotwire.com and all these ones. And you didn't need a travel agent. You just go online and order your stuff. Most travel agents ate it. Now there's a few. I used a travel agent for my wedding or my honeymoon because I didn't want to have problems. Didn't want to have problems. I just wanted to go have a good time, and it was worth it for me to pay them to get it taken care of. And the same thing with housing it's going to be the same way. You're going to have select few real estate agents and brokers that you're going to want to deal with, and the rest of the time you're going to use an iBuyer program or something else. I don't know that your civic pride plays into it. That's just me. So I managed to go on for quite a while this morning, and I hope it was fascinating. My goal is to give you a window into my thinking and a window of who I am, so that if you are looking around at a real estate agent and you are, considering selling or buying your house, at least you have an idea who I am. You don't have to call me if you don't like me. It's cool. Never call them. We're good. We're going to go over the articles today. I don't know if we'll get to all of them because we're kind of running short. I only want to do an hour today. Oh, and let's sidebar for a minute. I'm going to stream daily. I haven't set the time. I like 9 o'clock in the morning. But I realize how many people are going to work. Where's my audience? Can they take part in the chat? It isn't the replays that I mind. I'm looking forward to people watching a replay, but the chat would make it so much more lively and so much more fun. Right now I've got one person with me. So chatting with one person isn't so great. We could get a couple hundred people here. We could have a really good time. And that's what I want. I so want that. But we just have to keep going like we are until we get somewhere. But anyway, I would like it if we did chats every day. The reason why I do them in the morning is because I have to show houses, most of the time starting around 5 o'clock at night. And then I show houses from 5 to 8. And then you can go till 9. Most people are beat down by then. And then on the weekends, I don't see how I'm going to stream at 9 because I have, like this week, I have to show house at 11. By the time I did my stream, got dressed and left, it'd be tight to get there on time. So I don't know if I'm going to stream every day. I don't know, on the weekends for sure. And then I don't know about timing. Should I go earlier? I'll tell you right now, 9 o'clock, I do show prep around 8 o'clock, and it gets dicey. So I don't know. Let me know. You'll let me know by the fact that, there's no audience. Now, can I do it at 10 o'clock at night? No, not with my job. It's hard to do things late at night because I'm already beat down, working throughout the day and then showing houses at night and then coming on a live stream is tough. Anyway, and, listen to me at work, listen to me on the car, that type of thing. So let's go over some articles. Oh, there you go. This is the first one. I haven't read these articles through. I don't know if they're any good, so just bear with me. It says, will home prices and rents finally fall? Our bold predictions on real estate in 2022. This is on Realtor.com. Here's what we already know since COVID. The real estate market has been a wild ride of unprecedented highs and lows. I really don't think it's been any lows. Record low mortgage rates and available homes for sale. And the other, it's been a time of overwhelming stress for many, gigantic profits for some, and a great disorientation for most of us. I would not say I'm disoriented. I'm disappointed. Last year I had a wonderful year. I mean, I did really well. And then this year I didn't do well at all. So it says now the housing experts say the market is normalizing, but what does that mean? Will home prices and rents finally come down? Will more houses go up for sale? And what do we have the year ahead for store in the real estate market? So this is the Realtor.com housing forecast, and it anticipates the market will continue slowing down from the frenzy seen in the spring when the prices shot up to new heights. However, prices will stay high, inventory will remain tight, and mortgage rates will rise. Bottom line, even as the market calms down further, it's still expected to be challenging for buyers, especially those purchasing their first homes. So it's going to be a seller's market with, then it says here, it's going to be a seller's market with fast-moving homes and rising prices, where before it was like, it's going to be, the market's going to calm down. The competition is going to be a bit less intense. So then it goes, home prices are going to stay high, but they're going to price growth will continue slowing. So instead of going up 12% a year, it may go up only, it says 3%. That doesn't mean anything. Gosh, if on one house, that doesn't mean anything. On millions of transactions, okay. And it says the double-digit price growth that confounded buyers earlier this year is expected to taper off. Buyers are not confounded by high prices. It says, however, prices aren't anticipated to come down from the highs they reached this year due to the continuing shortage of properties for sale and hordes of buyers continuing to enter the market. They just won't go up so much as quickly. So, while it's not great news for buyers, homes are expected to cost much more than they did aren't expected to cost much more than they did a few months ago. The pace of price growth is going to slow notably, bringing it more in line with buyers' incomes. With prices high and mortgage rates beginning to tick up, people won't be as aggressive as in what they're willing to pay. Not any of this is discussing inflation, which is going to cause a significant problem. If the Fed raises the rates, it's not going to fix the inflation problem. My opinion. So here's like the market is behind. Okay, the news media is behind. Let me read this article. Let me read this paragraph and let's go. It says Realtor.com economists predict the number of homes for sale which is hovering around record lows, will tick up only 0.3%. That's partly due to builders having a tough time ramping up construction as they contend with shortages in workers and materials compounded by the global supply chain backups. Single-family housing starts, which is when builders start construction, is expected to rise only 5% this year. Now, what does that mean? There's a single-family housing start, okay, has nothing. There's no distinction between someone that's building a single-family home for a rental as an investment or one that's building one, to sell. It's 5% of the market right now, they're saying, is new homes that are being built solely for rentals. So it's a real problem. It's a real problem. There has to be some discussion about what's going on with the new home developments being rentals. It says there are plenty of investors snapping up single-family homes and turning them into rentals, and there's no tidal wave of foreclosures expected to hit now that the government moratoriums are expiring. What do we like? Why do we want to live in this situation where we're renting our home instead of buying it? Seriously, like, why do we want to live in debt forever? And it talks about millennials. It says sales are going to climb as they go up 6.6%. That's because because technology has sped up the home buying process. It hasn't really changed at all. Buyers are jumping on whatever comes for sale in record time before the property is snapped up by another eager buyer. That's 100% market based. It has nothing to do with technology. So here's the bizarreness. So it says the speed supports increased housing turnover as more abodes change hands as folks move into their first homes or relocate, trade up into larger residences and downsize. So here's I'm trying to explain something. Okay, we're talking here about people buying homes. Okay. But we're not including the investor class, quote unquote, or these people that are just going to be permanent renters. They're not looking to they're renting. They're out of the market as a buyer, but they will have a significant impact on the single family market. So you can't talk about rentals and investors and then talk about folks moving into their first home or relocate, trade up to larger residence and downsize. Because all of a sudden we're not moving into our first home until we're in our 50s. And we never bought it. Like, moving into your first home is an investment. Are you renting it or are you owning it outright? I mean, this really is going to matter. So I wish people talked more about this. It says the popularity of suburbs is also likely to endure. They emerged as the place to be during the pandemic as buyers could score more square footage in bigger yards for less money than in bigger cities. I don't really care about the cities. Well, and that's the other thing. So is that true? Is it possible some moved out of cities because of politics? Is it possible that people moved out of New York City because of politics and not because of square footage? Is it possible people moved out of California to Texas because of politics and not square footage or economic policy? I mean, politics in general. Did they move because they weren't aligned with the voting populace in those communities? That had nothing to do then with square footage, and it had nothing to do with affordability. We're not talking about that. It says, for years we heard about the dying suburbs because millennials didn't want to live there, but as they age, guess where they're heading? Well, that was true in St. Louis. We had all these things built downtown. As soon as they had kids, they moved out of the suburbs. And then they couldn't sell their units downtown. It's pretty funny. Sad, but that's the way it is. The budding trend was accelerated by the needs of aging millennials, often with families trying to grapple head-on with the realities of doing more than ever before from home. It says remote work will also likely be a factor. I agree with that. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think the market's going to do better or about stay the same? I think that if we're not going to talk about inflation in the article, then we're not going to take it seriously. Next article. This is from the National Association of Realtors. It says pending home sales jumped 7.5% in October. And I wanted to go over this because I was very confused by the data the previous month. Okay. So pending home sales increased in October, rebounding after decline in the month prior, according to the National Association of Realtors. Okay. So that's what I wanted to talk about, is there was this decline the month before and people jumped all over it and said that the market's changed. We're doing great. But there were times in that month that you literally couldn't buy a house because they were already under contract. There was no houses to buy. Your home sales decreased because there was no ability to buy a home. It had nothing to do with the market per se, as much as it had to do with that you just couldn't buy one. We're not in a normal market. And then here we go. Motivated by fast rising rents and the anticipated increase in mortgage rates, consumers that are on strong financial footing are signing contracts to purchase a home sooner rather than later. The solid buying is a testament to demand still being relatively high, as is occurring at a time when inventory is still markedly low. And that's the other thing. So we're going to have to talk about this rental situation. Okay. They're going to talk, like, someone that buys a single family home for rental is different than someone that buys a single family home to live in it. Okay. That's number one. Number two, there are large Wall Street corporations that are buying houses specifically to rent them out. I mean, many, many houses. There's one coming up, an article. So there's the market is being destroyed by different interests. And I don't think that's always been the case. And then I don't really, the rest of it is not really something I want to discuss. I just want you to understand that for people to jump on the idea that because September there were fewer houses sold, it was ridiculous. It's still stupid hot. I thought this article was kind of interesting. Permanent living transforms resort towns and vacation homes. So it used to be, if you want to go on a vacation, you go rent a home. You go rent a condo. You go rent a place. Like, you're going to go to Florida, you go rent a condo. Now people are moving there because they can work from those places. And they say, so the article starts off, they say, if you love what you do, you won't work a day in your life. But what if you live where you vacation? Does that make every day work day a holiday? I'll tell you what. I was in, I don't remember the name. I believe Pensacola Beach, Florida. We drove over there from Alabama into Pensacola Beach. There were these towers there, and I mean, all I could think of is I kind of want to live here. It was right on the beach, right on the main road, and they had a 24-hour pizza bar, which I love pizza. So I mean, I could live there forever, and I could definitely stream from Pensacola Beach. I couldn't do real estate though. I couldn't show houses or anything like that. So that was kind of depressing. But boy, I'm still tempted. If we can get this live stream going where I get my super chats up and running, maybe we're going to Pensacola Beach because it was really nice. And you say, well, what about the hurricanes? I don't care. I'm in a big building and I'll move for a couple days and come back. But anyway, thousands of people across the country have begun looking at their second homes or traditionally vacation areas for more permanent living arrangements, a trend which has long-term implications for the industry at large, as well as revealing a bevy of new disparate challenges and seasonal cities from coast to coast. Then it talks about a guy who is a broker, and he said there's been a roughly 10% shift in the proportion of people who live year-round in the desert community, traditionally winter getaway for movie stars and Los Angeles elites. So, it says Palm Springs used to be more absentee, the movie people and all that, but they didn't come in the summer. Now restaurants are beginning to open year-round. People bought seasonal houses that did not have air conditioning or insulation or renovating to prepare for 100-degree summer heat. I think you're going to see more and more people here permanently because who wouldn't want to live where you have 360 days of sunshine? And I agree with that. And then it says, though so far traditional infrastructure like water service and parking have not been huge issues in Palm Springs as more folks spend their time there. In Big Sky, Montana, another traditional winter getaway, there's been a struggle to provide housing and amenities for the influx of longer-term residents. another broker says there are not that many people who are staying permanently, but instead many more people are staying 3 or 4 months a year instead of 3 or 4 weeks. So this is a difference too. So like this summer, I went down to Dolphin Island, Alabama. Okay, we stayed for a week, but there were people. You know, there were RV parks there and stuff like that. You could stay for 3 weeks, so you could stay longer. But you know, now that people are staying 3 or 4 months, I think that's very fascinating. And then this is kind of interesting too. It says with restaurants and other businesses now staying open throughout the autumn and spring, Big Sky is also in desperate need of affordable housing to serve the workers at these places. A challenge nationwide, but more acute in an area with relatively little housing diversity. The town has tried to spark more diverse housing opportunities through a community housing trust, an initiative that's ramped up in recent years despite pushback from some in the town. So I don't have anything to say. The community trust has even incentivized local property owners to rent their vacations home locally instead of putting them on an Airbnb, but that organization has been limited by the fact that Big Sky is unincorporated, meaning there's no local government directly to support it, leaving the job to nonprofits utilizing more informal tools. I think Airbnb has caused a significant benefit for these communities, because it used to be like, I remember when I was a kid, we went places and you call the travel agent, and so they were kind of in charge. There was no of the pricing. There was no transparency. Now, if I go to Airbnb and I want to rent someplace, I can see the different rent rates, and that gives me some idea if I'm getting hosed or not. And most of the time, I'm getting hosed because it's a vacation area and it's in high demand during the off season. But whatever. Anyway, Airbnb and local regulations become the real estate's most urgent obstacle. And it's an area that contends with an influx of both short and longer term residents. On Pocono Lake, it says more than a dozen municipalities have spent months battling over short-term rental regulations, pitting those who want to make money renting their valuable properties against those who are looking for quieter permanent living and fear the noise and carousing of the Airbnb crowd. So this is correct. Let's talk about that. When I was a property manager in Missouri, we have I think they call it the statute of frauds, which says if you're going to lease a property, it has to be a year or more. You're not allowed to do anything less than a year. And they did that because, you know, by the time you evict somebody, that's 60 days. So it was kind of a benefit to the landowner. It says with the pandemic, people were coming and doing very foolish things that were staying longer and creating chaos. So the people that came with the Airbnb, you know, made it kind of ruin it for everybody else. With each town codifying separate regulations, real estate professionals are having to navigate a constantly changing arena of fire codes, septic needs, bedroom limitations, time limits, and seasonal restrictions on short-term rentals that originate both at the state and local level. So if you said, John, hey, do you want to be a real estate agent in Florida right now? No. Why? Well, I don't want to deal with all this. Okay. In St. Louis, in the county, I don't remember, but you may have to get a rental permit now, as you didn't 5 years ago. You have to get different inspections depending on the municipality, but you know, there's, like I said, 98 in St. Louis County. It's ridiculous. But I don't want to add on to, like, when people start changing the rules as we go, I can't keep up. It's too much. So no, I wouldn't want to deal with that either. There's 20 townships and boroughs, and 20 of them had to create ordinances on rentals. There's 3 out of 20 municipalities that still haven't approved rentals with an ordinance. It's mission impossible. So that's kind of the thing. Now, I can see the argument between Airbnb and the locals, but what I'm saying is I think it's done more good than harm for consumers, which is an interesting. It's all in how we look at who's benefiting. So many of the people, this is Big Spy, it says, many of the people she sees dedicating more time there are what she calls early retirees, people in high-earning industries in their 40s or 50s who work irregularly or semi-informal and freelance roles, but crave the amenities of the beautiful mountain region. So, you know, good for those people in their 40s and 50s that are semi-retired. This was an interesting thing. Palm Springs will continue to shrink its number of seasonal residents, though at a slower rate than the past couple of years. Airbnb rentals have remained a point of contention, though she says most residents are unbothered by the 2,000 or so units rented short term. The money they collect, they put back into enforcement. The police go out if they have to. They find people. I have a vacation rental next to my house, and I've never had a problem. So, and then he says, I'm watching Florida build 100 houses in 100 days. A community of 3,000 houses. They built 100 houses in maybe 10 or 12 years. And quite frankly, local government likes to keep it as good old boys clubs, and that makes it even harder. So there's a difficulty in getting the housing that you need. It says, he thinks the attitude is actually driven by the prevalence of Airbnb. People can spend a week or two in a fully furnished, spacious home or condo in any place in the country on short notice using Airbnb or another short-term rental service, and they don't need to own the home themselves to do it. Once people do a vacation rental, they're like, wow, this is so much better. You can have your own house and buy your own groceries without commitment. So anyone looking for a second home or looking to spend time in a resort area is going to be demanding more from their home and from their community. But what that looks like depends on the person as well as the community. But now more than ever, good skiing or beautiful views are not enough to get people to buy somewhere, as the unique spirit and character of these vacation areas become primary reasons to live there. So, yeah. So you put up with some things when you're in a vacation area. Like, let's just go back to where I was in Florida. There's one main road, so it's always busy. There's only one road in and out, so it's always busy. So if you're going to live there, you're going to have to deal with that. If you're on vacation there, you don't mind so much because you know you're not going to have to do it for the rest of your life. But once that starts, it gets a little dicey. So, you know, that's that article. And then I'm going to do one more article today, and then I'll move the rest of them to tomorrow. So we can get into it. And it's an interesting article. This is from Vancouver. It says, Shattered Hoop Dreams. Is a basketball court bad for the neighborhood? It says, a basketball court development application proposed for the Westbrook Place neighborhood in the UBC endowed lands has been withdrawn following complaints from the nearby residents. According to the report from the University Neighborhoods Association, the board has requested that the Properties Trust withdraw the application. According to, I don't know who that is, posters were spread throughout the neighborhood suggesting that noise, safety, and displacement issues were the drivers behind the withdrawal. The company or the reporter talked to administrative officer, and he suggested most of the concerns were related to noise, but there were also safety concerns for the surrounding areas. Claims are unfounded opinions. On November 20th, he penned a blog regarding the proposed basketball court on his personal website. He reflected on some of the concerns, suggesting that they were unfounded. He also suggests there have been campaigns to prevent or decommission courts across North America. Basketball is a low barrier sport. It doesn't take a lot of expensive gear or high-tech facilities. At the base, all one needs is a passive ground and a hoop to shoot into. Underlying the campaigns against public outdoor courts is a set of ideas that revolve around noise, danger, and property values. Each of these claims are unfounded opinions. Even worse, there's documented evidence that they're not a simple misconception, but are factually wrong. For example, it found that noise levels from a skateboard parks and basketball courts were no different than any other outdoor park. So, they suggested that the basketball court was positive. So, I just wanted to go over that because I was on Facebook the other day, and in St. Louis, in Tower Grove Park, they want to add a basketball court, and they want to add a basketball court somewhere else. And some people were like, I don't want a basketball court in Tower Grove Park. And I say, why? Well, there's going to be all kinds of packs of young children running around. Groups of young children running around is not exactly a good plan. And then somebody said you're a racist. That was the first thing that came out. And then, now I'm not a racist. And then they say I'm not a racist. And then it's noisy and it's going to hurt property value. So what do I say? Okay. So do I care if somebody puts in a skate park? No. Do I care if somebody puts in a basketball court? No. Will the basketball court cause issues? Yes. Will the skateboard park cause issues? Yes. Do you know what those issues will be ahead of time? No. But anytime you have a group of young children kind of figuring out their way through life, you're going to have issues. Like, let's just say at the basketball court, someone gets a hard foul. Well, then someone else is going to hard foul the next person, and then we're going to have a fight. Now, that's just the way it is. If they weren't at the basketball court fighting, they'd be somewhere else fighting. At the skate park, somebody's going to swing their skateboard at someone. These are going to happen. The question then is, do we want these types of things in our community? And like I said, I don't care. I'm not in those communities. But to say that the concerns are unfounded is wrong, in my opinion. You can disagree with me. Put a chat right in the chat. Say I'm wrong. Say that you want to buy a house right next door to a basketball court, a community basketball court. And let's leave on this, okay? Let's leave on this. Put aside every single argument that you can, okay? And narrow it down to, would you buy something? Okay? Would you use your wallet? So, let's do the basketball court. Let's say you live in a house and there's some vacant land next door. And you used to love to walk the vacant land with your wife or your kids or your family or every night. And now they say, we're going to put a basketball court there. Should you fight it or should you just move? Or, I mean, talk with your wallet. And then that's what I'm saying. So you're not fighting it if you just leave, if you just sell your house and leave. And I think that's what's happened. And I hate to say it, but I think that's what happened. That's what normally happens in our society. There's people on each side that feel passionately about an issue, okay? And then there's most of people don't. They don't want to be that riled up, and so they just vote with their feet. They vote with their feet, their wallets. And I'm not talking about a grassroots-led ban on a restaurant, for example, a nationwide chain. Like, people that get mad at Chick-fil-A, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about maybe somebody doesn't like Chick-fil-A's politics, and so they just don't go there. And they don't say anything to anybody else. They just don't go there. A city wants to build something, and the residents aren't really that interested in it, and so they just, over time, move. They don't feel connected to the community. They don't feel that connection anymore, so they just move. They just want to go someplace where they want to be. I suspect that Florida's real estate market is on fire. Okay, why is that? Well, we don't know. We just know people are moving there. I mean, I'm saying that we don't know, meaning we can argue with the exact causes of why people are moving to Florida, but they're indicating with their wallets that they would prefer to live there versus somewhere else. And I think that's how this. I think we should pay more attention. I don't want to say we should look at the root causes. I think we should look at the phenomena as it is, and maybe try to work backwards. So, what is it about Florida that people are moving there for? Is it the weather? Is it job opportunities? What is it? And then maybe look at your own communities and say, are people staying here or are they moving? So in Missouri, are people staying here or are they moving? Are they moving to here or moving away from here? And if they're moving away from here, are there things we should probably be doing to keep people from moving? Not restricting their movement, but just trying to come up with reasons for people to stay here. It's just a thought. It came out of the basketball court conversation. I'll take the rest of the articles that we had today and put them on tomorrow. Had a good time today. Hope if you watched it, you agree with me. Put something in the chat after the stream. That's fine too. Thank you for watching. I'll